Hello and welcome back to JVCTR. For those that are new, my name is Johnny and today we're comparing two of the best small hot hatches currently on sale here in the UK. The MK8 Fiesta ST versus the Abarth 595 Competizione. Okay, so today should be a fun one. So we are pitting the MK8 Fiesta ST against the Abarth 595 Competizione. And the way I thought I could do this is in kind of like a game show style. So there'll be 5 rounds. Each round will have one winner and they'll earn a JB token. So on this side, we've got Team Fiesta and you can see Team Fiesta's tokens there. And on this side, we've got Team Abarth and you can see the Abarth tokens there. But these cars will need to earn their tokens. So I guess let's get into it. So round 1, which car has the more pleasant interior? Well, the Fiesta ST, as you know, has just been facelifted and the interior was one of the biggest upgrades. The dash itself looks clean, uncluttered, modern, although it has been slated for having an infotainment screen that looks like it's stuck on as an afterthought. This car also has Recaro seats, which I think look lovely and they feel great. I mean, they wrap around you, but again, if you're of larger stature, shall we say, they can be a little uncomfortable. Now, on the other hand, the Abarth's interior is an equally pleasant place to be. It's got sort of modern retro styling with a lovely integrated dash for the driver, and the infotainment system is also nicely sunk into the dash. But that boost gauge, what were they doing with that boost gauge? And the winner of that round is, of course, the Fiesta ST. And that is because, personally, I just prefer the modern look of the interior. Clean, uncluttered. I mean, what more could you want? The retro interior of the Abarth it's okay. It's not offensive. There's nothing wrong with it. I just prefer this one. And I also prefer the Recaro seats too. I love the fact how they wrap around a bit more than the Sabelt seats too. Now, whilst we're on the subject of interiors, let's move on to round 2. And that is, which car has the best infotainment system? Now, as you probably know, Ford has Apple CarPlay integrated into Sync 3, which I think is really quite good. But for the purpose of this comparison, I'm going to completely discount Apple CarPlay because it's not made by Ford. So this will be based purely on Sync 3. Now, the screen itself is responsive. I quite like it. It looks great. And it has pretty much everything you'd expect of a modern car. So DAB, sat nav, that kind of stuff. But where it kind of lets itself down is they've tried to integrate the Ford Pass app. And in my experience, the app has been, well, a bit rubbish. Now, the Abarth's infotainment system is pretty similar to the Ford's, really, in terms of what you get. You get access to FM, DAB, hands-free, sat-nav, everything you'd expect from a modern car. However, in this round, there can only be one winner, as you know. So, that winner this time round goes to the Abarth. And that is because the sat-nav in the Abarth is just so much better. I mean, you've got TomTom sat-nav in this Abarth as opposed to an own brand sat-nav, and the traffic updates in it and everything is just so much better than the Ford one. So for that reason, this round goes to the Abarth. Round 3 is which car has the better styling. Now, this one is pretty subjective, I get that, and I love both the Abarth and the Fiesta ST, but in totally different ways. Now, the Abarth, I think, looks great. I love what they've done with the styling, but there is absolutely no getting away from the fact that this is based on a car which is, you know, the styling is all cutesy, nicey, that kind of thing. Whereas the Fiesta ST, on the other hand, is based on, you know, your everyman's car. Like, nobody's really offended by a Fiesta. Nobody really has an opinion on a standard Fiesta. Whereas the Fiat 500 that the Abarth is based on, you know, there is a stigma attached with that. And although Abarth have done a very good job of getting rid of that stigma, there's still an air of it still hanging around. And for this round, it's the Fiesta ST that gets the point. And that is purely because of other people's reactions to the car. So for example, if a Abarth came up flying up behind you, you wouldn't feel that pressure to get out of the way because it still looks a bit cutesy. Whereas the Fiesta ST, although it doesn't look racy, it looks slightly more aggressive than the Abarth does. Now, round 4. Which car sounds better? Now, the little Abarth sounds terrific with its Monza exhaust, and it does crackle and bang, but you have to really work the engine hard in order to get them. Almost a bit like an achievement, and I quite like that. Now, for this comparison, I feel it's only fair that we use the stock sound of the Fiesta ST. This car has a Miltec exhaust fitted, so it's kind of got an unfair advantage, so I'll use some old sound clips. And of course, this category is won by the Abarth. And that is because I think the Monza exhaust sounds epic, especially on idle. And I really like the fact that it cracks and bangs, but only when you're really pushing it hard. The Fiesta ST, I mean, it has some impressive cracks and bangs for a stock car, but they seem engineered, they seem a bit fake, if I'm honest. And sometimes, yes, they can get a bit annoying. So for those reasons, the Abarth takes this one. Now, the fifth and final round, and this is $1 million question. Which car drives better? The Abarth handles very well. Its small form factor makes it very chuckable, and those Coney suspension, that really does its job well. In the 3 days I've had it so far, it hasn't really slipped at all really, maybe a little bit of understeer whilst you're on the power coming out of the corners, but that's about it. I mean, this handles incredibly well. And as you know, this car has that Monza exhaust, which makes it sound a bit like a rally car, and those long 5-speed gears, they kind of make you drive it like one too. You've got that high power band and you just want to rev the nuts off this thing. And on the other hand, the Fiesta ST has the performance pack fitted, which most of them do. So that contains a limited slip differential, which pretty much nails the front end of this car. It's quite difficult to make it understeer, although anything's possible if you try, I guess. This car does oversteer on command, which can make for some pretty hilarious fun. But on the other hand, it also oversteers not on command, and that's not so fun because it kind of catches you out. The steering rack on this is super quick. It's the quickest of any car that I've ever driven, which I'm still slightly indifferent about. Sometimes it can be really useful. On track it was really good, but on the road sometimes it's a bit much. And lastly, the pops and bangs from the exhaust on the Fiesta ST. Yes, they sound cool, especially on the showroom forecourt, because you can go, oh, look at that. But they're a bit too frequent, if I'm honest. You don't feel like you earn them. I mean, you get them at pretty much every gear change, and I kind of feel that sometimes they almost detract from the experience. And, well, I guess the winner of round 5, the last round, which car is better to drive, is, well, not that easy to choose. The Abarth has these awesome Brembo brakes up front, which stop this car so very well. And let's not forget the Ford brakes. Although they're quite good when they're new and cold, when they're pushed hard on track, for example, they do have a habit of overheating. And as you know, there can only be one winner. And unfortunately for the Abarth, I'm going to give it to the Fiesta ST. The chassis is just a bit more lively, it moves around a bit more at legal speeds. This is very planted, very fun, very chuckable, but you just get a bit more feeling with the Fiesta ST. And on the whole, as a driving package, I think the Fiesta ST excites a little more. So there we have it, Team Fiesta ST won over Team Abarth. Although, if I'm honest, that isn't all too surprising. So the Fiesta ST is £5,000 more than the Abarth 595 Competizione, and this is also a brand new car, completely new design, and has only been out for a couple of months. Whereas Abarth last had its facelift nearly 2 years ago, and that was only a facelift. I mean, these guys have been using the same recipe for years now. But that said, I love both of these cars. I would want one of both because they are so very different. But today, there could only be one winner. And just before we go, I did use stock sound clips in the exhaust test earlier on, but seeing as I've got a Fiesta ST with a Miltec and an Abarth with a Monza, it seems a shame not to have a rev off. Now, I hope you enjoyed this little comparison, and if you found it useful, give it a thumbs up. And if you want to see more of my content, be it either Abarth or Fiesta, feel free to hit that subscribe button, and I will catch you in the next one.
There goes a sight from my soul.